So today is the Friday. Then we will start off with Q&A. So tonight there's a number of questions. Quite interesting. Huh? Okay, let us go there. There's the screen sharing. Hey, hold on. I got to close the concentration first. That one. Hold on. Faculty of concentration. Okay, close this. Okay, hold on. Okay, good. All can see, yeah? Okay, good. All right. Okay, Bhante. During Tuesday morning, after I did the walking meditation, I continued with the metta meditation. I started from myself, then changed to my respected person. It worked. After that, after that changed from 4 lines direct to 1 line. Okay. The joy arose. I knew it and continued to send metta. The joy arose, then disappeared again and again. I let go of the line, then the joy still arose and disappeared. Suddenly, the stronger vipassana object arose on the face. The mind automatically switched to vipassana object. The cheeks and mouth, I think, cheek and mouth were pulled. They were getting tighter and tighter, then disappeared. A while later, the tightness on the eyes also disappeared. Then the pulling on the cheeks and mouth, the face looked or felt ugly like a pig's face. Those vipassana objects were repeated on the face. And the mind just aware of them, tighter, pulled, squeezed, ugly. Then suddenly a thought appeared. I suffered because of this body. Then cried, really cried, and shook, and the body shook. I aware of them. After a while, the upper jaw started to squeeze. I aware of it until time's up. I got up from meditation, all disappeared. Actually, I wanted to try to do the metta for 1 hour, but still went into vipassana. Okay. Now, this morning, I did my sitting meditation. I aware of the vipassana object. Suddenly, the body became like floating clouds. It was light and loose. I couldn't feel the body. Then fear arose because the mind thought that some ghost was sitting there. I remember Bhante told me before, whatever came out, don't fear. So I tried to face them and noted it, fear, light. After a while, it disappeared. After that, many disgusting sensations arose on face until the mind wanted to let go from them. On that moment only, I perceived what Bhante said before. Vipassana will filter yogis out from this path. So that I continue to note them until time's up. Bhante, do I have to do anything else to take attention? Please advise. Thank you. Okay. Good. Now, let us go to the first paragraph. Okay. Now you say that you start to do your metta meditation after you finish your walking meditation, then good. Then you find that the metta is working right. Now, here when the joy arises, kind of like the metta is coming out, then you continue to direct it to the respectful person, then you keep going. All right. Now, you said that somewhere in the middle here, suddenly the strong vipassana object arose on the face. Then all the tightness and everything, it starts going on. And it pulled here, then there's a bit of suffering comes out and cried and so on. Those are vipassana things. But you said that you wanted to try metta for 1 hour, but you still went into vipassana. Okay, let us discuss on this. Now, when you are doing metta meditation, when you want to do metta meditation, which is good, okay, But but most of the time, you are a vipassana meditator. Okay? You are a vipassana meditator. Now here, whenever your metta starts to pick up, because the faculty starts to pick up, huh? Because of the faculties that it builds up the mindfulness, the concentration, the effort. Now they starts to pick up together with the metta. That's why the metta becomes clear. You can able to direct it to one line, which is good. But then, because of the faculties become strong, naturally, because of your past conditioning in vipassana, naturally the vipassana object also will be clear to you. Now here, from metta, you switch over to vipassana. And then you note the vipassana objects. Well and good. Perfectly all right. Yeah? For this one, perfectly all right. But you said that you wanted to do metta for 1 hour, but still went into vipassana. Now, here is where we need to draw the line. Yeah? If you want to, now your background is a vipassana meditator, which is good. Yeah? Now, if you really want to do metta meditation, for a period of time, let's say, not just for one sitting, but for a period of time, you got to make a determination. You got to make an adhitthana. Adhitthana here doesn't mean that the vipassana won't come in, the objects won't come in. But you make a determination that you're going to stay with the metta for 1 hour, and whatever vipassana objects come in, you don't take note of them. You put them aside. Now, although they start to pull your face here and there, you continue with your metta object. If you want to do the metta meditation. So you have to do that, because again and again, the vipassana objects will be clear to you. So you start off, let's say, if you don't make that determination, you start off with the metta objects, and then halfway again and again, the vipassana objects will become clear to you. Then again, you want to switch over. Then you felt that, that sitting also, the metta also is good. Now, your heart is in two places. Should I do metta or should I do vipassana now? Which is good. At least you got something to do, But now you are not sure what to do. But what is good is this, that as I said, if you really want to do metta, then keep your mind to the metta. And as I said, some talk, two talks back, then as I said, if you really want to do metta, do it for about some time. Sometime maybe like a week or two. Then you do into metta, and then you push the vipassana, any of the vipassana objects coming in, you try to note, pulling, changing, and so on. Then when you got to pull aside, you must not get tempted into going into vipassana. That is how you need to draw that line. So now, if you have metta, if you really want to do metta for a period of time, good. Stay with metta, determined to be in metta. Whatever vipassana objects come in, then don't go fall into it. Okay? Now, vice versa. Later part, when you are skillful in metta already, then you want to turn back into vipassana. Now you come back to the same problem, but in opposite way. When you start to do rising, falling, then it feels good, may all being. Then you want to go back there again. Then you got to make a determination not to fall into again. Stick with your vipassana object. Although this time the vipassana object may be suffering, may be pulling, may be hardening, may be crying and all that thing. You got to see it as it is. Yeah. Here, for a lot of times, for nowadays, this if you're switching back if those from samatha want to go into vipassana, sometimes it is difficult for them because you're going to see a lot of suffering, pain, pulling, unpleasant sensation, and so on. And then a lot of time they just want to go back to the safety net of metta or anapana or something very smooth and This one. And there is a very strong possibility. Now here is that you have to understand that this craving, this attachment can be very strong. All you need to do is to draw that line. You have to draw the line. Don't go back into metta. Just stay with the vipassana, no matter how painful, how tension pulling and so on. Just keep noting and noting and noting. All right. That is what I'm trying to share to you all. From vipassana to go to metta is quite easy, because from all pain to a little bit more calm and so on, that one is a bit more easier. So as I said here, so if you really want to do the metta, stick to metta. If you want to do vipassana, you stick to vipassana. But of course, at a certain time, there are also teachers that they say that, okay, you do like say 5 minutes, 10 minutes of metta, then after that you switch over to vipassana. They use the metta in order to calm the mind down, to calm it from all the thinking of the day. You calm the mind, and then after that you switch over to vipassana. You kind of like use the metta to be something to support, for the vipassana. But mainly you are doing vipassana. But if you want to really do metta, if you want to really not metta as a support, but metta as actual meditation itself, then make sure you don't go into vipassana or any other object of meditation. So keep it to the metta. Okay. Now, all this like your face getting tighter, pulling, you suffered, and so on. This is again, as I said, the metta. They all, as the faculties build up together with the metta, you switch it over very quickly. You see all these types of vipassana sensation, vipassana object, pulling, suffering, and so on. So stay on with the metta if you want to. If you want to, for a period of time. Okay. So this morning, during the sitting, I was aware of vipassana objects. Now you're going into vipassana objects, all right? Now the body became like floating clouds, light and loose. I couldn't feel the body, and then ghost was sitting there. Okay. Whatever come out, don't fear. That's right. So I tried to note the fear, light, and it all disappear. So finally, when all this type of thoughts comes out, like ghosts or whatever, all you need to do, as I said, just be mindful. Just be aware of them. As I said, put there, fear, light, calm, loose, whatever it is that comes in. Just be aware of them, because all those things are just mentally created. They are all mentally created. All you need to do is just be aware of them. They will disappear. So many difficult, disgusting sensation comes out because of that mindfulness becomes continuous. On that moment, I perceive what Bhante said before, we will filter yogi out of this path. Yeah, in a way, it's correct. Vipassana will filter out not just yogi, but lazy yogis. Yes, you are not lazy, which is very good. Vipassana will filter out lazy yogis from this path. Vipassana will filter out also coward yogis from this path. People cannot take the pain, cannot take the suffering. They see a little bit of suffering, bye-bye, thank you very much. You go back to some calm and peaceful like metta. That is a bit of a cowardly move. They don't want to see all the suffering. So vipassana, as I said, it will filter out this type of yogis. Only the brave, only the one who really make the effort will pass through that filter. Okay, so if you want to do metta, my advice is that you take a time to really want to do metta. Say like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. After all, we are not going to go anywhere. If you've got time, if you find that your home is in a way suitable, then do it. Then do it for metta. Then later part, then we can switch back to vipassana. At least you know your technique, you know your trial and error, and then you start to pick up on the meditation, which is good. Okay? All right. Okay, next question. Mm. All right. Okay. Elderly but novice meditators who have knee osteoarthritis are mostly unable to sit even half crossed legs on the floor. Usually we have to sit on a chair or with legs half outstretched on the floor. Will this hinder our progress in meditation, thus rendering us being unable to reach higher levels? Or, to put it simply, can we sit on a chair to meditate? Okay. Let's. Two, is proficiency in meditation a must in realizing Nibbana? Yeah, number two, simple answer, yes. Well, we'll discuss it a little bit more. Huh? Okay, let's go back to number one now. Elderly yogis, elderly meditators, elderly novice meditator. So, can you sit on a chair to meditate or not? Okay. Now, of course, in a certain situation, when you cannot sit on the chair, then you want to meditate, by all means sit on a chair. Huh? But if you can still sit on the floor, it will be better to sit on the floor. It would be better. Now, I've seen some yogis, some, not all, some yogis who have these knees cannot bend. The legs or cannot sit cross-legged. Sometimes a lot of it I've seen in the Westerners or like in US or in Europe. I've seen their body is not as flexible as the Asians because they always sit on the chair most of the time. Asians, we sit on the or maybe like a Buddhist. We a lot of us sit on the cross-legged, or we sit on the floor when we go into the temple, right? We go into the temple, we sit on the floor, but not Westerners. So here I notice sometimes there are certain meditators or certain yogis actually with this type of condition, actually they still could sit on the floor. Sometimes it's just they push themselves a little bit, don't overdo but if you're able to push a little bit, sometimes you will wonder by sort of a small little miracle that the leg can take it. After a while, when you start to, pull the legs a bit, pull the knees a little bit, let the muscles start to stretch out a little bit. Actually, those people with this type of knee problems, they could actually do it. I've seen people with arthritis, not to say, I wouldn't say all, but there are some could be able to do it. No? Now, again, some of these yogis, sometimes they could actually sit on the floor, but sometimes they could not. I say, when you cannot do that, you sit on the chair. So when you can, then sit on the floor again. This is in the yoga, because this is in the retreat environment. Retreat environment, we have a number of sittings per day. So I said, if you couldn't able to sit, then try to sit on the chair. Then if you can sit on the floor, then sit on the floor. So after a while, they try this and try that. They do this because they're afraid of their knees, this and that. But after a number of days, when they do it, actually, they could sit on the floor after that. They get less and less sitting on the chair. Also, again here, it depends on the condition of the yogi. Okay, it depends on the condition of the yogi. When you sit on a chair, one of the thing is that for a novice yogis, as you said, as a novice meditator, I normally and mostly I do not encourage, because sitting on the chair, one of the factor going to be somewhat lacking. I wouldn't say zero, but it's the effort. It's the effort, physical effort, and also the mental effort will be affected. So the physical effort, because you tend to sometimes you sit on a chair and then there's a bag, you tend to lean down on it, you tend to lean down, and then after that, energy also gone. Then you'll be sleeping on the chair. So that also is not good. Now, if I recommend, if you need to sit on the chair, sit on the chair without a back, if you can. You sit on the chair without a back. So that you sit to kind of like you force the body in order to keep it erect. To keep it erect. Then with that, for a new meditator, for a novice meditator, that will bring about easier, a little bit more easier to bring about the effort, mental effort. And you need that mental effort to arouse everything. So so if you need to sit on a chair, then without the back will be good. Without the wall behind you, just sit on a stool, something like that. Then also when you sit on a chair also, then also the leg also must be, you must mimic, like when you're sitting cross-legged on the floor, When you sit cross-legged, your leg, your thighs also is like in a V shape, like a triangular shape. So you have to, when you sit on the chair also, you must not keep the thighs parallel, but you must spread out a little bit in like a V shape, So sometimes for ladies, they put a towel there. So it's good. Yeah. So because of that V shape, sometimes it gives the body more stability. And stability it's needed also in the sitting meditation, especially when you're sleepy. You try to sit straight-legged, and then when you're sleepy and see, it's easier for you to fall, and then you get worse and so on. So try not to. So if you can, if the meditator can sit on the floor first, try here, try there, cannot really tak boleh, then only you sit on the chair. But don't get attached to the chair. Okay, don't get attached to the chair. Number 2, is proficiency of meditation a must? Yes. Now, what I'm saying is the proficiency is this. Is this that when you make the effort, keep on trying, meditate every day, or you go from one retreat to another retreat to another retreat, this is where your proficiency will come in. It will come in naturally. You don't have to be like a perfect, You want to start off with everything is perfect. No, it's going to be a trial and error, how to walk, how to sit, and so on. And you keep on trying. That is where you become better and better and better. That is what we call proficiency in meditation. And as you get better, how to do the walking, how to do the sitting, that is where your faculties is building up. When the faculties is building up, then you can able to note your various meditation objects. Then that is where you can able to see your objects changing and rising and falling and moving this way, that way. That is where also the insight becomes clear to you. The insight become clear. Okay, so this is important for us to take note. So that is proficiency in meditation. Okay, so it is a must, because the further that you go, the better you are. The deeper that you go, the better it is. The deeper the insight that you go, that actually you become better. Proficiency also for different people is very different way of development. Some people's proficiency within like a month or 2, they can get very proficient in meditation. But some may take years. It all depends on the development of insight. Some maybe like in the past life they already like meditated already, meditated a lot. Then in this life, they meditate a little bit only, enlightenment. Then you say, How can meditate 1 month only, a few weeks here only, enlightened already? Here I'm struggling for 30 years, neither here nor there. Why? So their proficiency in a way has developed very much in the past life already. Yeah? So in a way, it's a must. Okay? Okay. All right. Next one. Okay. Okay. Let me hold on. Hold on. Okay. My usual sitting routine, morning around 5:30 to 7, and at night around 10 to 11. I do walking at our center after breakfast and chores followed by sitting. Sometimes there are unavoidable interruptions to the routine where I was occupied by certain matters until late at night. I would like to inquire how to do some adjustments. Okay. Do I skip or do a short some sitting or do metta or a short chanting instead? If I carry on the late sitting, then the sleep duration will be very short and this can affect the next morning. Or can I wake up a bit late next morning? Question. How do I reconcile or adjust both morning and night practice in the event that we are able to start the sitting only late at night? Okay, thank you. All right. Okay. Well, with this sitting routine, it makes the devotees over here all very shameful. If you can able to do a morning and half an hour, a night 1 hour, it makes a lot of you. Anyway, what can we do? Okay. Now, first of all, it's good that you have that routine. The morning routine, you have the night routine, which is wonderful, which is good, which is very commendable actually. And you do some walking meditation, that is also very good. Okay. Now, you said sometimes there are unavoidable interruptions, which is also very true because we are not in the retreat center. We are at home in the sense that we are meditating, and as a layperson, you have chores to do, and you have responsibility to do. You have to take care of. So therefore, once in a while, it may affect your routine. It's totally understandable. So too, for example, for me also the same thing. I also have a routine, but sometimes on a certain circumstances, I get affected. Also, I cannot able to meditate. And also, as you all know, we are not in the retreat time. So in the retreat time, I usually make sure that the yogis have nothing else to do. But nowadays with their mobile phones, it's very difficult for them to this one. All these mobile phones will kill them in their meditation. So nevertheless, if they can put all this aside during a retreat, then only they have walking, sitting, which is very, very good, which is wonderful. So, so let's say right now, you have something that you have to do the whole day, and then you only have a short time to do a short time for a short gap, a time that you can before you take rest. So what do you do then? Now, what should you do then? Here, you said that should I do some sitting or a metta or a short chanting instead? Now, actually, it's perfectly up to you for that particular day. Now, if you feel that you want to do metta for that day, then do metta. If just for 15 minutes, then just sit there for 15 minutes. Don't have to be like, must be 1 hour because it's already taken up your time. But if you find that on a certain nights, on a certain night, you feel that you are not so sleepy, then carry on a bit longer. Don't worry about what time that you're going to meditate, what time you're going to sleep, and what time tomorrow you're going to start meditate. Don't worry about them. Let tomorrow be tomorrow. Uh, You just worry about what you can do tonight. You do tonight, meditate until you feel that enough already, then you feel that you want to go to sleep. Then tomorrow, if you can wake up, then wake up. If you cannot, then go a little bit more. But if you feel like you want to wake up, then wake up still. And then when you meditate, then adjust a little bit. Maybe in the morning, if you find a bit sleepy, then do a bit of walking meditation. Don't have to do sitting meditation all the time, as long as you do meditation, good meditation. So don't worry about the next morning. Tonight, try to finish it, whatever that you want. And also, if you want to finish early, finish short, then perfect. Then go and sleep. You are not in a retreat right now. Yeah? So don't be too hard on yourself at this moment of time. Yeah? But the most important is that make sure that you do it every day. More or less, but do it every day. Okay? So if you want to say that you want to wake up a bit later in the morning, it's well and good. But as honestly, as the elderly, when it comes to age, then sometimes we cannot sleep that much also, right? It kind of like there's a biological alarm bell. At a certain time, no matter what you sleep, it'll wake up for you. That's what people told me, lah. I haven't reached that stage yet. Going to, but haven't reached that stage yet. But yeah, devotees told me that, elderly devotees told me that when you reach a certain age, kind of like you wake up on its own, no matter what time you sleep. So again, here it's difficult for us. We can adjust according to our body and so on. Sometimes what we fix on a certain routine as we age, sometimes it's going to be different already. Okay. For example, you ask me to do 5:30 in the morning. I tak boleh. I tell you straight away, I sleep at the sitting there. Because it's not my time. My time is around afternoon, evening. I'm very alert. Something like this time, I'm very alert. You ask me to do it early morning, I cannot. But those for y'all can do it. Yes, wonderful. This is your good time. Yeah. So here, if you want to do some sitting, it's also okay. You don't have to worry about the length of time. You want to go and sleep, then you go and sleep. If you want to go longer, then you do longer. Don't worry about tomorrow. So you want to do metta, then do metta. It's perfectly all right. You want to do chanting for that night, it's perfectly all right. After all, these are all wholesome things. So don't worry about the sleep duration. It's very short. If you want to go a little bit longer, then go a little bit longer of your sleep. If you cannot, then you will wake up anyway. So how do we reconcile both morning and night practice in the event that now sometimes with this perhaps if you are free in the afternoon, let's say if you're free in the afternoon, then sit for a while. Don't have to be just morning and night only. Whenever you can, just sit for a while. Sometimes you may have something to do in the morning. It takes up your time to meditate. Then perhaps in the afternoon, you are quite alert. Maybe you want to give yourself a rest, half an hour rest, and then wake up, and then your mind is clear. Then go and do some sitting if you want to. Then after that, you do some other things. Then at night, you want to do a short one. Then well and good. Then carry on. So we learn to adjust according to this one. So if most of the time you don't have to, if you have no interruptions, then just go on with your routine. So when you have interruptions, then all these routine are going haywire a little bit. Then we learn to adjust. Don't get too attached to our routines. Don't be some so must to do. It is good in a certain sense, but don't become over tightened and we tie ourselves to it too strongly. Yeah. The routine here is part of the sila, actually, which is good, But then don't tie everything attached to it until you cannot breathe. Yeah. That means when the interruptions comes in and so on, you kind of like unable to adjust here and there. Yeah. So keep your mind open a little bit. Keep your mind open a bit. Okay. This is something I can say about it. So for me also, although I have a certain routine also, but sometimes I have to meet with somebody. Sometimes I got a chanting to do. Sometimes I got to have a class to do in the afternoon with some other groups and so on. Sometimes I have I got a personal interview. Sometimes there are yogis who are meditating in somewhere, then I have to interview them also, or they call me up for interviews and so on. So I have to entertain, and then my time is all this. So I just change around whenever I'm free, then meditate. Okay. All right. Next question. All right. Today's one, no picture. Don't worry. Bhante, I'm asking on behalf of someone. How do you keep track of the 227 bhikkhus precepts and ensure that even the minor rules are not broken, since according to the Vinaya, a transgression can still take place whether a bhikkhu has actual intention or not? What do you do, especially in the pandemic times in this, when there's no 4 bhikkhus around to confess the breach of the Vinaya rule? Thank you, Bhante. Okay. So now you're asking for that someone. I would like to advise is that about these rules. You ask someone to go get ordained, then we can talk about all these precepts. But anyway, now since this one, okay, in the 220, we talk about a little bit on the Vinaya, a little bit, just a brief understanding. Now, these 227 bhikkhu rules, and in the bhikkhunis is even more, 311. 227 is just the main precepts. There are, within a single main precept, one of the precepts, sometimes there's a lot of small description of that particular rules. And then within that small, for example, there's a Vinaya, and then there's a commenting on the Vinaya, and then there is a sub-commenting on the commenting of the Vinaya. So there's a commentary, and there's a sub-commentary, and there's a sub-commentary for some this one. And then when there's a again, when there's a sub-commentary, then there's a multiple things, Sometimes there's a rule, and then it divided into a multiple things. And then within a single multiple thing, it can be divided further into some more things. That's why the rules can be very complicated. You must have that lawyer's mind in order to perceive all this type of ruling, all these precepts. Some precepts are heavy precepts. Some precepts are less heavy precepts. For example, if you have some bhikkhu's precept, if you were to claim that you have a psychic power when you know that you do not have a psychic power, then it's a disrobe, it's an automatic disrobe. Automatic disrobe. You have a psychic power. The monk do not have a psychic power. He knows that he doesn't have, but he swindled the devotees or the people that he said that he has the psychic power. Then this is an automatic disrobe. Yeah. For example, one of it, or one of it, the bhikkhu's rule is that you steal. That is also a problem. If you kill a man or a person, that is also automatic religious robe. And the first one is if you sleep with a woman or sleep with a man, or sleep with an animal, automatically disrobe. Also, yeah. So they have a very specific rule that are very heavy, and then you got to auto disrobe. Whether you are your normal monk in that sense. And then whether the transgression, for example, say again the psychic power. If the bhikkhus think that he has psychic power, he thinks lah, but actually he doesn't have. But he believes that he has. Some bhikkhus that thought that he can see past life, which is one of the psychic power. He thought he can able to see past life. Or so he thought lah, But actually he doesn't have it, but he thought that he has those power. Now, then he tell it to the devotees and so on, that is a minor transgression. It becomes a minor transgression. It's not a big transgression, so it's a minor transgression. That it's something like that. Okay, so sometimes this transgression is so minor, but whether you have intention or not, it's still a breaking of the rule, which is over here mentioned. And one of the thing is the alcohol. Alcohol, like for example, for you to break a 5 precept, the 5th precept, when you are drunk only, and totally your mind is already muddled already, then only you break the precept, But if you take a little bit of alcohol, you get drunk yet, there's still not a breaking precept, but you are on the way, that's the Zen saying, a man takes a drink. Then after that, the drink takes a drink. Then the drink takes the man. So you're on the way. So for the bhikkhu, but for the bhikkhu's, for the bhikkhu's vinaya, even you have a alcohol, let's say in the drink or that, and you do not realize it, and the monk doesn't realize it, that is also considered a breaking of precept. But that precept is a minor transgression. It's not a major transgression. Again, we have a different levels of transgression of precept. So that's why you said you come to a bhikkhu vinaya, then the whole vinaya is a tipitaka itself. Then you have to, now there's a lot of areas that we can able to discuss. But what for discuss with all of you? You are not monks or not nuns, unless you're monks and nuns, then we can discuss a little bit more. And also I'm saying that I'm not that lawyer type of yogi. I'm not that good in all this vinaya thing. I admit myself, I'm not perfectly good in all those things. Doesn't mean that I do not know, but I'm not into very specific and so on. Not in my area, not my area. Although I tried to, but after I try already, very difficult. Anyway, so it's hard to keep the precept. So it's very hard for you to track your 227 bhikkhu's precept. Very, very difficult. As I said, and I said that at one talk 30 years ago, I think 20 over years ago, then Sayadaw Nyaponika was giving a talk. It says one day, it says there are over 9 million precepts that when you extrapolate from the 227 precept, 9 million precepts. How are you going to one by one go and see into 9 million precepts? And again, this precept, whether it's a transgression or not, it all depends on who is the interpreter also. Sometimes, for example, let's say a cup of tea, a cup of tea. Now, if you are in the Burmese tradition, drinking tea in the afternoon, I mean, just plain tea, just plain tea. If it's in the afternoon, then it's a breaking of precept. But if you're in Thailand, if you're drinking tea in the afternoon, just tea, no milk, nothing, then it is not breaking a precept. Then how? So who is the one who it depends on who interpret the precepts also. Of course, those are minor precepts. There are many minor precepts. But again, here is that you want to get it right. Sometimes there's a lot of debate going on. So again, like for example, if you see a Thai monk and a Burmese monk or Burmese tradition monk. Now, for example, a Thai monk, they shave their eyebrow. They shave their eyebrow, and the Burmese monk, they do not shave their eyebrow. Okay? Again, here is a interpretation. Although in the Vinaya, it's all mentioned that in the face, for example, you cannot shave other hair except for the mustache and the beard. For the mustache and the beard, only these two you can shave off, and other hair you cannot shave it off. That's mentioned in the Vinaya. But then the Thai monks adopt it in this way. Well, because of the history and because of the history of Burmese monk and Burma and Thailand, they're all fighting and so on. And then when the Burmese monk, the Burmese, they want to infiltrate into the Thailand, they disguise as a monk, So when you disguise, them all looks the same, So they want to change from, okay, this is to have a Thai monk, this is a Burmese monk, and then the Thai monk shave off the eyebrow. So whenever the Burmese monk come into the country, they know that you don't shave the eyebrow, that you are not from a Burma. Then that one becomes a political thing, So from that, it becomes a culture in that sense. So again, the transgression, it's a depend on the interpretation. So again, here, the intention also plays another part. Some you have to have intention. Some even you don't have intention. It is also a breaking of precept. So it's a very difficult area. It's a very difficult area. So the question is, what do you do, especially in a pandemic times like this, when there are no 4 bhikkhus around to confess the breach of Vinaya rules? Now, we don't need 4 bhikkhus to confess our breach of Vinaya rules. We only need 1 bhikkhu, not a samanera, but a bhikkhu. A bhikkhu which is a junior than us or a senior than us. Then we confess to each other. And when you do this confession, there's also some, again, Vinaya rules. The Vinaya rules, I think, is stated that you have to be near to each other. That means not more than an arm's length away. When you want to do the confession, that the senior monk say something, the junior monk will say something, and then it will, in a way, it will do the confession. It takes me about sometimes just less than a minute for both of them, or a minute or two, just to do all this confession for the Burmese style. Then for a Thai style, then the way of confessions can be slightly longer. But all you need to do is 1 monk. You don't need 4 bhikkhus for that. 4 bhikkhus is when you want to chant the Patimokkha in the Sima hall. Or if it's not in the Sima hall, then you go into a stream or a river or in the sea. But anyway, don't worry about those things. But in the pandemic times, that is going to be difficult. How are we going to go into an arm's length from somebody? For example, like me right now, I'm staying alone here. I do not have other monks right now. How I'm going to confess? So I'm not able to confess according to the Vinaya rules. But with this pandemic like that, I was thinking, can I confess through Zoom or not? With another monk, not with you all. Of course, I cannot confess, but with another monk. Can I confess over a mobile phone? Can I confess over a Zoom? You can see each other, although virtually, but we are not physically close because of the pandemic. So, but Vinaya doesn't mention all these things. Again, you say that, oh, pandemic times, you must able, you must adapt and so on. Vinaya is because of the adaptation and so on. That's why you become all kinds of things. All kinds of people don't take care of the Vinaya anymore. So again, here it's going to be difficult. Yeah. But then there are clauses in a certain Vinaya part. For example, the afternoon eating, the afternoon eating, the mid-afternoon, or you cannot eat after the midday. But there are clauses in the Vinaya. It says that if you are the whole country is in a famine right now, then this 12 o'clock, this noon thing is revoked. This Vinaya is revoked until the situation are better again. Yeah. But he didn't tell about this type of pandemic thing. That's why it's very difficult to discuss on the Vinaya, because you're going to open up to a lot of interpretation, and then when you open up the interpretation, then all kinds of views will start coming and attached to the Vinaya, and all kinds of everything will take place. That's why there are so many schools of Buddhism. Okay, so it's a bit difficult to discuss on this Vinaya thing. All right. Okay. Let's move on to the next question. Okay. What is the Theravada Buddhist view on the intermediate state between existences, antara bhava or bardo? Is there any description about this in the sutta? If it does exist, is it subject to a specific duration or other conditions? And what is the state of consciousness like in this state? Why are there different interpretations of this concept in the different schools of Buddhism? Okay. Antara bhava, there, your Chinese word. Now, in the Theravada Buddhist view, we do not have antara bhava. Now, just to say that this antara bhava thing, connected to the last week Friday Dhamma talk, a Friday that question on Sambhavesi. Yeah, Sambhavesi, as I said, that it's the consciousness that arises, and then those who seek for rebirth. Sambhavesi is those who seek for rebirth. So some people they interpret that this Sambhavesi is an antara bhava thing. In the middle, after death, then there's a middle here, and then after that, before you reborn. Whereas in the actual Buddhist view, we do not have this in between existences. Okay. Some monks, some interpretation is that they said that there may be a sutta that the Buddha mentioned about this, but again, it's only one sutta only. They say only one sutta for this only. I do not have it offhand. But anyway, they said that this is only one sutta, but this is a very vague description by the Buddha. So it's all open to interpretation. Now, this antara bhava thing, I think they started around a few hundred years after the Buddha passed away. When that during that time, a few hundred years after the Buddha passed away, it spread into, at least they say that, up to 18 schools of thoughts. Nowadays we have more or less like 3 schools of thoughts, like Theravada, you have Mahayana, you have Vajrayana, kind of like 3 schools of thought. But during in the time, few hundred years later, 200 or 300 years later, there were up to 18 schools of thought. Now, one of the contention, some school of thought, they accept the Antarabhava, and some schools of thought, they do not accept the Antarabhava or this Bardo thing, Antarabhava. One of the schools that do not accept the Antarabhava thing is the Theravada school, even that it already exists after the few hundred years. But there's a few schools that accept the Antarabhava thing, and they are where they are. They are, one of it is the Mahasankhagika school or something like that, and it become Mahayana school nowadays, and also the Vajrayana also it become like that. Those schools, they accept this Antarabhava or the Bardo thing. Okay, they accept this Antarabhava or Bardo thing. It is said that this Antarabhava is that they exist for a duration up to 49 days. If you're a Chinese, then this is where it is get connected. 7 thing after a person pass away, those 49 days. This is our Chinese culture, and it has connection to the Mahayana thing, which is also the 49 days thing. Whereas in Theravada, we do not have those things. So after the state is like, and then after they reborn, and during this time, all your memory of your past is all kind of like wiped out, as they said, so we do not, in the Theravada, we do not have these things. Now what the Bardo here is more or less used in the Vajrayana school of thought, so but anyway, this to us is a concept. So then some people say that Bhante, after my mother died, then after some days later, I can feel that she's still around me, Bhante. Then all her things that is being, we already put it there, it already being shifted here and there. Bhante, how like that? The mother come back, or their mother is in between state before rebirth or not? So again here, for Theravada Buddhist point of view, this is also again is an existence already. They already gone into existence, which they may still get craving attached to the surrounding area. They get attached to the surrounding things. So sometimes when they get the surrounding things, then the attachment keep them, or the beings keep them around there. But after that, they realize that they have passed away and so on. Then they'll move on again, maybe to another rebirth already. But that is also a form of rebirth. For Theravada, but for them, for others, is that it's like Antarabhava thing, before they take a next rebirth. But for Theravada, the moment the consciousness pass away from the current body, then it takes place in the next existence. Although the next existence, it may still be around this one, around the body, around the family. That is not Antarabhava. That is a new existence already. Then sometimes this existence may not be long. Sometimes it may be longer than 49 days or whatever. Then when if it's short, sometimes after that they reborn in the better planes of existence. One of the thing is that that sometimes beings, they stay around us, or our relatives around us, and then we get fearful and so on. Actually, we don't have to do that. It's because of, again, craving. When you move out from a certain place, initially you kind of like attached to the place that you just left. For example, you left a company, then there's a number of friends that is still around there, or ex-colleague, and you'll get connected. Say you still call them and so on. How are you and everything. Then after that, when you are in a new company for a longer and longer period, and then you get less and less connection with them anymore. You get connected with the new colleague in the new company. So do the same thing. So when a person for this one, when they pass away, sometimes they linger around. So when they linger around, that is not antara bhava. That is a new existence has taken place. Yeah? So here, what we do as a Theravada, then we do offerings on their behalf, or in memory of them. Then we dedicate the merits for them so that they are able to reborn in a new place, better place of existence. If they're around there, if they feel they knows that the relatives are the kins are still able to remember him or her and able to perform good merits, then when the beings get happy, because of that happiness, they can able to reborn in a better. Because of that happiness, it becomes a fuel for the beings to reborn in a better planes of existence. Sometimes they may reborn as a deva or a peta, and then because of that, they cannot have anything. Then because of that merits, they come in, or they see happiness, they reborn in the better planes of existence. So this interpretation, as I said, this comes from the past, already from the past, a few hundred years after the Buddha passed away, and all kinds of views that's coming in. Now, if you want to understand a general concept of this antara bhava, you go to Wikipedia. You just type there antara bhava, or you type there Bardo. You go into the Wikipedia in the internet, and then you just read about it. And it says that this antara bhava, one of how the antara bhava arises from the Indian philosophy, or the Indian or the Hindu teaching. They say that it may come from a Hindu teaching, and you must remember that in Buddhism is in India. At that time, even after a few hundred years, they're still in India. And because of that, Hindu teaching is slowly coming into into Buddhism and get connected into it and get amalgamated, combined into the teaching, and then it become part of the whole teaching is there. So that is what is said, so in the Theravada point of view, we do not take it as antara bhava, because we see this arising and passing away. The moment the mind arises, it already arises somewhere, anywhere. And then there's just before we go, there's a short from Milinda Panha, which is also is interesting actually. King Milinda's questions. Now this is from King Milinda Panha. Venerable Nagasena, if somebody dies here and is reborn in the world of Brahma, and another dies here and they're reborn in Kashmir, which of them will arrive first? They will arrive at the same time, O king. In which town were you born, O king? In the village called Kalasi, venerable sir. How far is Kalasi from here, O king? 200 miles. How far is Kashmir from here? About 12 miles. Okay. And now think of the village of Kalasi. I've done so, venerable sir. Now think of Kashmir. I've done so, venerable sir. Which of these two, O king, do you think the more slowly, and which is more quickly? Both equally quickly, venerable sir. Just so, O king, he who dies here and reborn in the Brahma is not born later than he who dies here and reborn in Kashmir. Give one more simile, venerable sir. Okay. What do you think, O king? Suppose two birds were flying in the air and they should settle at the same time, one upon a high and the other one upon a low tree. Which bird shade will fall will first fall upon the earth, and which birds later. Both shadow will appear at the same time, not one of them earlier and the other later. Yeah. So the same thing here when when taking rebirth in the Theravada understanding, the moment the person dies, is already taken rebirth. Immediately it takes rebirth. When I say die here, this is not clinically dead, because sometimes clinically dead now when you say the consciousness is still around, When the consciousness is still around, that means he may not depart from the human being world yet, It may not fully depart yet. Until the consciousness completely disappear. Now, then it already arises in the somewhere, some rebirth already. Okay? So we go. So here in the this one, we do not have antara bhava. We don't have this one. If this is exactly when you don't go into the vipassana deeper, and when the idea of self is still with us, when we don't realize that we still attached to the idea of self, that is where all kinds of projection of different types of views will come out from that wrong notion of self. And one of it, from the perspective of Theravada, is this antarabhava thing. Yeah? Until we go into a deeper aspect of vipassana, then only we realize that how the mind works, and then whether we'll see whether antarabhava or pardo, or whether they exist or not. Yeah? Finally. Okay? So that's about it for tonight. There's no more question already. Okay? All right. So that's it.